Hello there, and welcome to the next episode of Legion by the Numbers. I'm Joe Eames, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at Yoda's his Force Wave attack, and trying to find out, is it actually any good? Yoda was given a pretty unique type of attack, this little range 2 attack that's blast and suppressive with four black dice. When I first saw it, I was pretty excited about it. I thought, oh, that's really kind of cool. Gives him something else a little bit like Dooku's lightning, something you don't see on Jedi as often as some kind of another attack other than giving him saber throw. So in this episode, we're going to find out, is that attack actually any good? What situations is it useful to use in? And therefore, you can have an understanding of when should you try to use it and when should you ignore it and just try to hide Yoda or get him into melee. So let's go ahead and outfit our Yoda first. All right, so first off, what abilities could Yoda possibly have that may or may not affect the performance of that suppressive wave or that force wave? So first, for command, there really isn't anything here. Obviously, vigilance can help him to be more defensive and be more survivable. There's a good chance you would outfit him with vigilance. I think that's really popular. Tabletop Admiral agrees with that. As far as the force powers, again, nothing here is really going to affect the force wave ability. They all kind of have other effects, some for survivability, some around manipulating other units, but nothing really affects force wave. So we're not going to really worry about how he's outfitted here, and we're not going to worry about the points of it. We're not going to give him anything. We'll just take note of how his powers and his statistics, and then let's go ahead and head over to the dice simulator and let's set this up. So for the dice simulator, that force wave is 4 black. It's suppressive. We'll simulate the suppressive by making sure that nothing has any cover. It's got blast, so we're going to simulate that by we won't give any cover to anything as he's attacking. He does have surge to crit. So that actually is going to affect that attack. There's no way to get it more dice. Tenacity won't affect it. It is suppressive, as we saw. It is suppressive, but that doesn't really affect the dice themselves. It just helps us understand what he could do. The interesting thing about him is he could throw out the one thing that Force Wave can do that's really unique is he could throw out 4 suppression dice by himself by attacking something within range 2 twice. Now, that scenario isn't always going to come up. You have to go out and get in a melee in order to do something, or go get into that range 2 but stay at that range 2 and not decide to close within that range. So that could be useful if he activates. You feel like he's pretty safe, and there's something maybe dangerous that's at range 2, and rather than getting in a melee with it, instead you want to throw out 4 suppression. You think that might cause it to panic and flee the table. So that's one thing that Force Wave really does do. But let's go ahead and look at its damage output now. So just plain old black, 4 black, surge to crit. We're not going to give him an aim yet, although Yoda has an easy time getting aims. Let's go ahead and see what the damage looks like. Okay, 2.5 points of damage. That was kind of easy to figure out with 4 blacker dice are kind of easy to run the numbers on, especially when you don't have any defense dice. But now let's look at what happens when he's attacking various things. So if he's attacking, let's say, B1 droids with white defense die, no surge to block, he's going to do on average 2 points of damage. Again, if you attack twice, which he can, you're going to do 4 points, killing off 4 of the B1s and give them 4 suppression. 4 suppression is maybe not enough to make them panic. Depends on what your commander's like. It might not be. But there's also a good chance when they activate, they're going to roll off 1 of the suppression. So by itself, you're not going to take out a ton of a unit of B1s, and you're probably not going to make them panic. Other things that have white defense dice with no block, Wookiees, they're not going to panic, especially if they're indomitable. But you might keep Wookiees with, say, only 1 action. That could be pretty useful if you attack them twice. Give them just 1 action. But if they can charge in, that 1 action isn't going to be in one movement. If they could charge in, that isn't going to be that helpful. They'll still come in and attack whatever they're going to attack. White with surge to block is 1.67, so 1 2/3 points of damage. Red with no block, 1.2, and then on the off chance you're attacking one of those rare units that's red with surge to block, or a Jedi who spends a dodge token, then you're doing about 0.84. So the damage is pretty good, but it's not like crazy. You're not doing tons and tons. If you can attack something twice, it could be pretty useful. But let's go to that like red with no surge, say stormtroopers or clone troopers. That's 1.25. We saw that. Let's throw in the aim, because Yoda has a pretty easy time having aim tokens. Either he can aim an attack. He might have been the target of an attack. We get an aim token that way. If he does attacks with an aim token, it's 1.5, a little over 1.5. So throwing out, say, one attack with the aim, one attack without, you're doing a little over 2.5, maybe 3 points of damage. Against clones, you're not even taking out the heavy. Now you are, again, doing force suppression. So for sure, you're cutting them down to just one action. But if that leaves Yoda exposed, that's really not that great. So that's against red with no block, white with surge to block, with an aim. We saw that without the aim, he was doing 1.6. With the aim, that jumps up to 2.1, adds about 0.5 point of damage. Let's look at white with no block, no surge to block. It's 2 damage without the aim, a little over 2 damage, and then 2.6. So about 0.5 point of damage the aim adds. Because of the way that the blast works, it's probably better to attack twice rather than spend an action to aim and attack. So that's kind of one takeaway here, is the aim isn't doing a ton of work by itself, probably not spending too much time on. So that's the force wave. Sort of some takeaways from here. It can do some damage. It might be good to finish off a unit. If you have something that you want to do, you need to do between 2 and maybe 4 points of damage, then Force Wave is actually a really good option, depending on if you only attack once, in which case you're going to do between 1 and 2 points of damage, probably 2.5, or 1 to 3. And then if you can attack twice safely, not exposing Yoda to a bunch of counterattacks, then attacking twice to do between 2 and 4, maybe even 5 points of damage, depending on how tough the defense dice are. That's kind of what you can expect out of that attack. The short range, the range 2, doesn't necessarily make it. So really, some of the power in Force Wave might actually just be in that suppressive attack. Can that really be a key to something? But you're not going to move in and get 4 suppression off. If you move, which he has a crappy, only a distance 1 move. If you're going to move and get that 1 attack off and do that 2 suppression, you better hope that you need to know that extra suppression is really going to be key. Maybe combine it with some other attacks to really force something to panic off the board. But throwing out force suppression, really good. You could pick a really key unit and panic that, and potentially, if it was near the edge of the board, destroy it without utilizing other attacks. But it definitely is a more strategic attack. It's not a bread and butter, throw this out all the time and do a lot. It is definitely a more strategic attack. And there we go. That's Yoda's Force Wave and the statistical analysis on how it works. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, like and subscribe. If I missed anything, leave me a comment. Something else you'd like me to see me cover, or other scenarios with the Force Wave you'd like to see me cover, happy to do that. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.